Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Sokka here with another episode of Kerbal Space Program 1.2 Career Mode. When we last left off, we landed our mining rig here on Minmus, and off camera, I filled up my fuel tank, and not only that, but I continue to mine ore. So I have 600 ore here that we can replace this fuel with. And I have sort of a bit of a dilemma that I was mulling about. We only have a Clampatron docking port Junior here. If we were to land a craft on Minmus to this guy, we would have to be exactly perfect and land right on that docking port to transfer fuel. Conversely, however, we can use the fuel that we have mined on this mining craft to get an equatorial orbit around Minmus in a nice stable orbit, say 50,000 or so, and then bring our super vessel out to Minmus, sort of detach a command module from the main body, and use that command module to do sort of shuttle runs back and forth between our mining rig and our main spacecraft. And I think that would be a lot easier for us to navigate a smaller, more nimble spacecraft with a Clampatron Junior docking port here than it would be for me to land on top of this guy. So without further ado, let's get this guy in orbit. And the good thing about bringing the ore with us is once we get into orbit and we use up all the fuel that we are going to use, we can turn this guy back on and make even more fuel with the ore that we have stored in this craft. So we can get in orbit with a full fuel tank, I believe. So without further ado, SAS on, we are pointing to the 90. Let's just give it a little bit of throttle, and we don't have an atmosphere to worry about, so we can pull hard over to that 45 as quickly as we can. Let's go landing gear up. Landing gear is up and we are moving. Let's pick up a little bit of speed here on the 45. Looking at the big map, we want to sort of shoot for a 50K apoapsis. So that is our ultimate goal. Then we will circularize, and once our craft comes out, it'll be pretty easy to dock to, I believe, if we can catch it in the right space. So just pushing this apoaps out to about 50K, just like that. We will set up our standard maneuver node here to circularize and make sure that we're on the ball as best we can be. Something like that. Only a 5-second burn for us. However, this thing is unwieldy, so we'll need to give it just a little bit of throttle to pivot the spacecraft over. And we should be up high enough when we reach this maneuver node that we can do the time warp trick. I'll go ahead and do physical time warp here. Well, we're starting to waver just a bit. Let me point this guy in the right direction. Something like that. And now we'll use physical time acceleration, warp ourselves around to our apoapsis, and circularize. I tell you, these big solar panels are a lifesaver when it comes to regenerating your electric charge. These guys are second to none. I'm really enjoying. Whoops, we missed our apoaps. That is fine. 0.8. So what does that do to us in the grand scheme of things? That is a 56 by 73. You know what? I think that's close enough. Let's go ahead while we're here and start the mining rig here. Start refilling our fuel tank up. And we should have plenty of electric charge to do just that. So that is it. We've got 610 out of it. We've used up all of our ore. And that is going to do it for this particular spacecraft. So back to the Space Center for us. So now let's focus on a craft that we can take out to Duna. And I believe we are ready to launch and get this thing into orbit, at least see if it's possible. Let's go ahead and launch her. These intrepid Kerbals are going to pave the way to Duna. It is a monstrosity of epic proportion. Let's try 3/4 throttle and go. No, we need full power here. Those boosters are doing the work. The rocket's kind of weak sauce there in the middle. We might need to strut that up. And it looks like our liquid fuel is going to burn out before our solid rocket boosters do, which is unfortunate. We'll revert back to the vehicle assembly and change that up. And we will also strut up this section here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I adjusted my rocket a bit. I took one of the T800 fuel tanks off just to sort of reduce the weight. So we'll see if we can get into orbit this time. Let's start our gravity turn as per usual. This is a definite trial and error rocket. I have to admit to you as the viewer that I personally have never done a manned mission to Duna and return. So this is something that is out of my wheelhouse, out of my knowledge, out of my comfort zone. So I'm definitely giving it a good shot here, as best I can for you. I'm excited to get to Duna. So first part is the hardest, just getting into orbit. So let's try to do this as best we can and hope for the best. So I will, we're sort of going fast, but that's what we need. I'll cut the video, well, not cut, but go full throttle here for you, so you can see me attempt to get this monstrosity into orbit and sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight. And if we are successful, I will see you in orbit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now in orbit, and I don't know if you caught that, but I actually activated these two engines on the outside here to give us that little boost that we needed to get into orbit. So let me just transfer all of my fuel out of my lander here. Whoops, nope. We want everything out of the lander and into the nuclear section here. And then once we sort of undock, I'll use RCS to maneuver this guy around. But we are in orbit, and next episode we will be plotting our course to Minmus to meet up with our friend, the refueling station, who has, I believe, 720 fuel aboard, which will essentially fill up this orange tank once more to give us all the fuel we need, I believe, to get to Duna. But that is going to do it for me in this episode, ladies and gentlemen. Like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold. Thank you so much for tuning in. And for Valentina, Liz, Reen, and Bob, I will see you in the next Kerbal Space Program video. Take care.